I don't know if you remember, like a year ago, I met this broker, this very old man, and we started to talk about what we are attempting to do. And then I got to read about what brokers do. And you just mentioned that Patrick is trying to process these documents as a broker. And in order for
we're
for
not
what I
going to do
read,
that.
we need to be registered.
No, we don't fill them out as if we're the broker. We fill out our information and we send it in, and they fill out that information as the broker.
Oh,
This is
okay.
Patrick.
Yes,
Okay,
Patrick.
I'm on the line.
How you do?
Hi,
The
Patrick.
Justice Department is the broker for justice. Okay, that's what justice is all about. Okay, is just exchangement. Okay, so the Justice Department is the brokering department between we the people and the corporation. That's the chief financial officer. Okay, we will submit our security, our certificate of live birth, our driver's license, whatever, into them, along with the information filled out on the 1099-B form, just our information. We don't know any of the financial stuff. They will take that security, or they're supposed to take that security, then, and basically broker it, because there's assets behind all of those licenses and security, certificate, title to your vehicle, all of those, they need to be brokered, because the government machine has usage of those, and they have to unplug them in the right way and settle the books. That's for the 1099-B. And no, we're not acting as a broker. We are the master, okay? And we're coming in and demanding justice for a change, just exchangement. And see, everything out here is on parole. You have a certificate. It's allowed out away from the prison. And I said that the penitentiary there at 1500 Pennsylvania Avenue is basically the penitentiary for the government. That's why they put Pennsylvania Avenue there, because that's the penitentiary avenue. The prison. And basically, we're going to parole our assets out. Everything, and look up the definitions of receipt and, let me see, what was the other one that I looked up? Well, about parole, you will see that at the end of parole in Anderson's dictionary, you'll find it talking about receipts, bills of lading, and other items. And it doesn't apply to the rule that it lists above. And then in receipts, it talks about paroles there at the very end of receipts, I think it was. I told you you'll find more out about what's going on in the government by going to the dictionaries than by going to the statutes. Stay away from the codes. It will confuse the hell out of you. And there is no justice in the codes, really. It's all for their enhancement of their operations. It's all for the machine, greasing the machine. And this is almost everything that this is going on is right out of the movie Matrix. If you got your 98 series number, you have essentially started your unplugged scenario. You're like Neo in the movie Matrix. But you still have ties into the Matrix. You haven't broken totally free. And that's what we're trying to do. Now, everybody wants some money? Then go start diving in the dipsty dumpsters and picking up receipts. They're out there and they're free. Okay. You come in and you start turning those receipts in and canceling the debt behind the receipts because those receipts are on parole. They've never been brought into full receipts in full or a closed receipt. One that is totally free of all bondage. You'll find out in the dictionary there also the definition of receipts in full. You need to start looking these words up so you get them in the back of your mind of knowing the truth about what the words mean. Okay, I'll drop off here and let you guys go ahead and talk.
You had some other things. I like the fact that you got our back with the $10,000. That should help a lot of us once we can do that.
Well, I didn't put that back up there. I said basically go get the receipts and start doing the receipts.
Yes.
Go to the corporations, to the CFOs, cancel the debt, and then basically get the credit at Walmart. Okay. Now you go into Walmart the next day and basically you're buying on credit with Walmart. Or you go and you can drive in this country for free. You get the receipts, you turn around and you cash them back in. Now, when you do this, they strongly want you to try and do it for $600 or more at a time. And basically read, one of the things that we messed up on was on the 1099 A's and the C's. You don't need to do an A if everything is covered on the C. You cancel the debt, and then basically the debtor is liable for the repayment of the debt. Down below, in the form of taxes, then you would mark the box in block 5, and you would put the value down for the just fair market value of the property. Down below, in block 7.
Patrick?
Block 6, you would either have it as bankruptcy, which is A, or the other one I could see utilizing is B, for like a court case or whatever, a traffic ticket or something along that lines. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
With the receipt, how would somebody who is paying for their, when they get gas with their debit card, how would they do it if they don't have the receipt? Because
If
you
you
said
don't
that.
have the receipts,
Right.
well, basically, every time you go into the grocery store and use your debit card, you ask them for a receipt.
But if
Right.
we go back in time, right? We do
Okay,
have the
sometimes you're not going to
record
be able to
of
go
the.
back in time. You can't go back
Okay.
in time on everything. Okay. But you can go out to the store tomorrow and go in the dumpster and pull out a bunch of receipts if they're there.
Okay.
But the bank statements show that it was spent for gasoline, right?
No,
I'm not
gonna get into this talking about individual things, okay? You figure it out. I give you
No,
the
that's okay.
information.
I just
okay?
wanted to know if you have thought about it.
No,
That's
I
all
haven't.
right.
I
Thank
can't
you.
think about everything. Okay.
That's okay. You haven't.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Philip. Hi, Philip.
Hi, Thomas. Steven's on too. I just got
Hi,
on.
Steve.
Hi.
Oh, Steve.
And yes, you did post a new 1099-V also. Okay. So Patrick, Patrick's gone?
No, I'm just sitting
Oh,
in the
okay.
background here now. Go ahead.
Oh,
talk.
okay, okay.
It's your
Now-
show. This one. I was just trying to come in and give you a little quick upside information. That's all.
Right. Because what I got from what you've done is that you've done a new 1099-V for us. Yes, you're correcting how we fill out the 1099-A. Now, when I have the mortgage, I want to pay off the mortgage, but I also want to get back what I previously paid. Do I do that in two separate transactions, one a C and one an A, or can I combine them?
Well, you need to sit down and look at the 1099-C. Basically, if they need to pay you something back, you need to put down the value that they need to pay you back on the 1099-C.
Okay.
Say that the initial mortgage was $100,000 on the thing, and you've paid $25,000 out on it. Okay, then you're canceling the debt for $100,000. Now they owe you back $25,000.
Okay. My understanding is that you did the C for 100,000, and then you did an A for 25,000.
Well, yeah, if you do that, but then on the C, you do not fill in blank 4, 5, and 7.
Okay.
Okay, if you're doing them in tandem, read the instructions that it says there.
Okay, very good. I'll do
You
that.
might have to get the instruction booklet for the 1099 A's, B's, or A's and C's, and then also get the instruction booklet for the B. There should be all on the site there.
Yes, but they do
when
come
you
with
order your forms, they're very kind and they will send you a copy of those instruction booklets along with it.
Yes, they do.
That doesn't mean that you're supposed to use it as fire starter.
Nope, I kept them right in the box.
Well, no, don't keep them in the box. Get them out of the box and read them.
Well, yeah, they're in the box where I file them. When I do them, I'll go at it. Okay. And anybody have questions?
General discussions, go ahead. Don't let me stop you. I didn't want to disrupt this whole thing. I just wanted to straighten out a couple things there and try and keep you on track.
Right. Usually on Sunday we get together and we go over our understanding of it and see what we don't understand and try to get ready for the next call. So actually what you've done here is a lot of work, and I have to get to reading it. And as you're saying, I need to just go read the instructions. Fill out these things.
Now, they didn't make this easy. You've got to handwrite almost every one of them, okay? There's almost no easy way to even put it into a typewriter and type it in there, okay? Because you'll never get probably everything lined up quite right, and you'll probably spend more time trying to adjust the form to get it in. So basically, you start getting some of this stuff handwritten down, and then start looking at the 1099-Bs and settling those. But you'll still end up having to do some of these down the road. Your exemption number is your 98 series number if you have it already. Okay. And the other one is the estate EIN, and you'll have to pay taxes if they come in under the estate EIN number. But the key thing was finding that federal identification number, that zip code, plus the 4 digits. And that is your postal bank depository. That's the name of it. That's your mailbox. It's a postal bank depository. And then it's an ABA. It's in the American banking system.
American Banking Association, yeah.
Well, you're associated with the American Bank, which is the post office.
And that's your federal depository number?
Huh?
And that's the federal depository number?
That's yours. It's not federal depository. That is
that's
your
ours.
postal
Okay.
depository number.
Okay, I got it.
postal bank depository number.
Okay.
And see, everything that goes into that mailbox is money
Okay.
because every piece of mail has a stamp on it.
Right.
You're getting maybe only 46 cents at a whack, but that's 46 cents here, 46 cents there. You start adding up all those 46 cents, and basically now you've got 10 of them. You got $4.60.
Well, just
You got
think
100
about
of them. Now you got $46.
the amount of mail you get a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now all these people
It's
sending you
not
46.
It's not junk. It's mail.
Not
It's
junk
money.
mail anymore.
Yeah. Just like the receipts. They're money. They're exchangement. They're a bill of exchange. And you have to come in and see that receipt is on parole. It can walk around for 3 years. Okay? So it can walk around for 3 years before it becomes free because it's got bondage behind it. You come in and cancel the debt. You take your assets by canceling the debt. You're saying that that corporation doesn't have to pay that money back to the treasury. You cancel it. Now you're claiming that as in imbalance in the ledger book. And now they have to give you the credit that's associated with that because you freed it up. You're the paroler. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
They were the parolee to allow the receipt to go out into the world. That's why I'm saying that Treasury Department there at Pennsylvania Avenue is the penitentiary. They have paroled our assets out into the machine world in the form of giving them loans, and then the other corporations are giving us receipts, turning those assets into paroled receipts out into our world. We come in and we're the paroler, so we cancel their debt. Now we pick it up. Now they're free. That's how you get free gasoline, free food, McDonald's. You keep all your receipts from McDonald's. You can eat for free at McDonald's every day of the week if you want to. Not that I'd advise it.
I know.
Right, right.
But
So that means what they would like us to do $600 at McDonald's, and then we can turn that in and work on the next $600.
Yeah, it is. Trying, and basically, you get a couple of those little clear plastic drawers, and you just mark on the outside one for Walmart, one for McDonald's, one for Subway, whatever. You get their corporate headquarters address. You find out their 5-digit zip code and their 4-digit box number for the headquarters, and then you send those in, those bills of exchange, or those receipts, those paroled receipts, in with your 1099-C, and then you mark down at the bottom that you're claiming that the debtor is liable to pay that, has to pay that back, but they're going to have to pay it back to you, not to the treasury.
now, Patrick, you did an example with your taxes a few days ago. We can do the same things with our paid taxes, correct? In a similar manner with the Excel form.
Yeah. Just make, and see, I strongly recommend, and I told this to a couple other people out here, okay? If you've got kids in the family, you assign them to take care of the Walmart receipts. You get them a ledger book, and you have them start making the entries. They can either do it in a ledger book, or they can, if they know how to do the computer, You get them into the Excel file and you have them start recording those. Okay? That's a requirement before they get their weekly allowance. And you go through the books with them and make sure the book's balanced. If they don't have balance, then they have to go back and correct the mistakes until their books are balanced. Then they get paid. Make them do something for a change instead of sitting around playing with the iPods and everything.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, Patrick. I'm trying to understand what is the difference between doing 1099A and C, along with 1096, of course, and doing 1099A and 1099C and 1099V. What the result? How does the result is different? I mean, that's what I'm trying to understand. The result. What if you use 1099V without or without?
The 1099B is only for a broker.
Not V, your own.
Okay, the V. Okay, you always, if you're going to have something coming back, you always put a voucher with it. Okay,
That's your enforcement. Becomes a warrant.
Because yeah, you put the voucher with it. Now that is turns into a warrant. A voucher is a warrant. So now, if they do not comply within the rules that are laid out there, a settlement, which is supposed to be 3 days, okay, then you can take that down to the sheriff's office or to the U.S. Marshals or to the CID, that voucher, and have them go and collect it for you because that is now a warrant. And you are the principal and you have every right to issue a warrant.
Yeah, but does that actually work in practice? That's another thing. Well, they will look at you.
Well, it's not going to work in practice until you get off your ass and go try and do it. Okay?
Right.
I've come up with this just in the past week or so trying to do this. Okay? Not one of these other damn gurus out there has even gotten this damn close to any of this shit.
Right.
Okay? So you don't sit there and try and say, well, what, man, does it work? Does it work? Well, how about you getting off your butt and go try and make it work?
Yeah, make it
Okay?
work.
We're supposed to be in this together. This isn't just for Patrick to go out here and do it all and prove it all and then come back and tell you guys, hey, it works, hey, it works.
Now, if you don't have an embosser, can you use your thumbprint until you get one?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can even take the hammer and beat it up a little too if you want to.
That's a good embosser.
Yeah, if you go to stampmaker.com, you can get embossers for around $36.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be anything fancy, okay?
Mhm.
I talked to Dan out in California there several times, and people are trying to get certain things. Well, yeah, make it up however you want to. Okay,
Right.
I have no. If you go into the stamps, I mean, basically, it's your stamp. It's like your fingerprint.
It can be anything,
yours.
really.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but
Basically,
Patrick,
whatever you claim is yours is yours.
but Patrick does have an embosser example out there.
Right. I've seen that.
Right.
Dan's put a couple of them up there, and he you can order some through him, and you got a good desktop model that's for about $100, and but then you can also change out the stamps themselves if you want to come up with a new one, so you don't have to buy a new machine. You just buy a new insert.
That's the difference. The $36 one is text only, no artwork, and that you have to buy a new embosser if you want to have a different insert.
Okay.
I bought one from a place. I paid $21, and you can change the inserts. You can
No
order
kidding.
inserts later on. I'm looking for the link to put it there on the Skype window.
Yeah,
I'm looking for it right now.
Okay, post it when you can, or post it on the group.
And they are very nice. They come in a little leather pouch. Then you can take them with you. Yeah.
Okay. Some more questions?
Don't have to be questions. They can be your opinions.
When you talked earlier about getting a car, and from what I remember, you said you actually just go get the sticker price, or do you get any kind of a document from them saying the car is so much? And then
Maybe
what?
you can go online, okay, and find the car dealerships. Okay, you can do a search for car dealerships, Ford car dealerships, Chrysler, GM, and you get a copy of the window sticker. Well, you'll find your local dealer, and then you go through his inventory and see if he has something within the area there that you want.
Okay.
And you can check several of the car dealerships within the surrounding area, say like within a 100-mile area, and see what they have. You find one that you like, then you look at the details on it, and normally they will have a window sticker for it. And all you have to do is click on that window sticker, but in most cases, it's going to be a PDF file. Okay, so you can save that window sticker, but you can print it out. Now, what is that window sticker? That is a receipt for that vehicle. It's a paroled receipt for that car that has been paroled out from the manufacturer.
And so we send this into the manufacturer, not to the dealer.
Yes, because it's only paroled out from the manufacturer. The manufacturer is the one that is holding the bondage over that vehicle because that vehicle is still being used as the collateral for the bond that they wrote out there.
Yeah, and
They
for the
borrowed
dealer,
the money. They borrowed the money. Then they made them the automobile. Now it is still under bondage, but it is free to go out, so it's on parole. They have paroled it out into the system. Now, as soon as you buy that without canceling the debt, the state ends up taking over the control of the parole of that. So now it becomes under the parole, probation and parole department of the Justice Department for the state. But the state issues you a certificate of title to that, so it is still under parole. But now, if you go in,
So where would the title come from after you would have went ahead and utilized the cancellation of the debt with the 1099-C and did the acquisition for that
you would have
particular
to go
vehicle?
in and basically do the cancellation of the debt with that certificate of title. But the certificate of title with the state is not the manufacturer's certificate of title.
right? When
You
you
have
send
to
it
go
in,
to the chief financial officer to get the certificate of title, manufacturer's certificate of title.
right?
Okay.
Isn't it called manufacturer certificate of origin?
Yeah, whatever.
Right. I think so. So that when you send it in to the CFO, you're saying I'm canceling the debt and send me the certificate of origin.
Yeah, you're canceling the debt. Now, since you canceled the debt that's owed to the Treasury, the debt is now owed to you, okay, or the credit is owed to you, but you're going to take the credit in the form, and that's in block number 7, and then you transpose that same block number 7 onto the 1099-B, that is fair market value of property. Okay, it's not dollars, it's just the fair market value. So now you have it on your 1099-B, but on the 1099-B, you're not claiming dollars, you're claiming the vehicle with a free and clear title. The manufacturer's title. Therefore, you do not have to register that into the state.
Yeah, that would be what is called a loyal title, I believe.
No, not really. Just a somewhat similar idea, but it's not really.
Well, it's just you've taken the shackles off of the parole, the item that's been paroled. It's now free. You've given
Right.
it its freedom.
Under the current system, isn't it that the state basically takes over the manufacturer's certificate of origin and just sort of rents the car out to you?
Well, no, they just sort of keep an eye on it, okay, for the other part of the machinery, okay, the manufacturer. Okay, so it's one part of the matrix helping another part of the matrix, the machine world. And then see, the state is also utilizing that vehicle within the state because now they put a claim against it so that they could sort of track it, but they're making a profit off it too. That's why you take their certificate of title to the vehicle and you send that back into the Justice Department with a 1099-P and have that security brokered because there is also value behind that security, that certificate of title. The one back to the manufacturer has essentially been terminated at the end of 3 years.
So this is where the 3 years before abandonment comes from, that you have 3 years to clear up the receipts?
Well, basically, no. All wagering contracts, all loans, and everything out here, basically for property is on a 3-year wagering contract.
Wagering? Huh.
Yes, they wager that out there for the settlement of the item. Now, it can either go for shorter than 3 years. If you come in and cancel the debt, then you're going to offset it by having the assets drawn directly out of your account at the Treasury. Your credits that are on storage there. This is a nightmare for any accountant to try and figure out. But if you keep it simple, okay, and you go out to the playground and you go over to the teeter-totter and you take about 6 bricks with you, you can figure this thing all out. You put 3 bricks on each side of a teeter-totter, now it's in balance. You take 1 brick off of one side, we'll say we cancel some debt. Now the bricks on the other side, the 3 bricks on the other side, on the credit side, are too heavy. So the teeter goes down. You take one of those bricks off, it comes back into balance. That's why the scales is on the Justice Department. They're supposed to be the brokers to bring about just exchangements. That's why the attorney generals are the CFOs of the state and the country. They're also listed on the financial management system for the country.
Can you do this with your house?
Yes.
So even if it's not paid for, you can cancel out the debt?
How many years you had the house?
2009.
Okay, basically, how many years ago is that?
4.
Okay, is that over or under the 3-year rule?
Over.
It's over, so the house is paid for. You just have to go in and order up the cancellation of that debt.
Yeah, that's
you
what
do
I'm
a
saying.
1099-C and you cancel the debt behind that house.
Okay.
With that, because see, they borrowed the money from you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Now, in block number 7, if you paid any principal in out of your back pocket,
Right.
you can claim the principal back. You're probably not going to get the interest back.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there a reason
that
we
was-
won't get the interest back? Is that considered sort of a service charge?
No, that's sort of, I would say that's probably a stupidity charge.
Okay. Is it something to where we could maybe go out and try to get the interest, or
No, I said it's a stupidity, and basically you can't get stupidity back. Think about it, Tom.
Yes.
Okay.
I see your point. In a way, this is so simple, but if there's so many ways you can
you
look
go
at it.
down to a carny show. You go down to a carny show just by walking into the place. You're not gonna. You know you're gonna get ripped off. Do you have a right to complain about getting ripped off? No.
Sure.
Well, I mean, I'm fighting with them right now because it's a fraudulent loan. I mean, I probably could get
No,
more.
it's not a fraudulent loan when you understand how the money system works.
Yeah,
Okay? You just have to come in and do a 1099-C and cancel the debt.
right.
Okay? You could have bought the house just by doing a 1099-A.
Right.
But see, nobody wants to know how the money system in this country works. They think they know how money system. Well, basically, I got to work my ass off, and basically, that's the way it is. I don't get any inheritance. Basically, this isn't supposed to be the new Israel, the new promised land, or any of that stuff that's been put out there. And then you've got all these other gurus out there that are charging money from you. And I told them years ago, about 4 years ago, even Tim Turner, I told him, you can't do a seminar and charge money for it unless you can tell the people how to pay for that seminar. Because
Boy.
otherwise, your seminar ain't worth shit.
There are some big shysters out there.
Yeah.
You got 28 years in prison, federal prison for it.
Yeah, because he was doing some other stuff.
Well, that's for counterfeiting, essentially.
Well, but basically, he thought he knew what he was doing, but he didn't. Okay?
Well,
And
what about the,
that was more for the bonds that he was trying to write, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, and I told everybody you can't do bonds. Okay? You don't want to do bonds. Bonds is what the Israelites or the Hebrews did back in the Pharaoh's time. They bonded themselves into servitude. And that's what you're doing when you write bonds. You're bonding yourself into a state of servitude.
well, that's what they're doing at Mastery and Commerce and Gordon and Hall and all those people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a guy that says he's written $100 trillion bond.
Yeah, I mean, that's ludicrous.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I have information for the embosser.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Okay, it's www.rubberstampwarehouse.com.
Rubberstampwarehouse.com.
Mm-hmm. And then at the left, you have a menu, and you basically choose embossing,
Yeah.
and you choose the very first one. That's the one that has the interchangeable plates, but it's $21. And I posted there, but it's not everybody's not in the Skype group, so I'm going to say it here. We ordered these embossers with Megan, and when you click on it, a menu to enter, that will be the first one, okay? When you click and you click again, you have two. You are going to click the $21.42. And then you have lines, line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's very self-explanatory when you see it.
Right. That's the other one that I
But-
mentioned does it the same way.
So what happened is when we wrote the name, how we wanted to appear or whatever we wanted there, and when we received it, it was all in capital letters.
Mhm.
And we called them back and they told us to keep what we had, and they sent us a brand new ambassador. Of course, don't be doing that to waste the time and money of these people, right? Just make up your mind what you want.
When you put
What?
the lines in, you put it in uppercase and lowercase, but they change it all to uppercase.
Right. So what you want to do,
It's
if
called
you want to
first.
be sure what you want, is you give them a call. They have
Yeah,
a
right.
800 number in the first page, in the home page.
Right.
Uh-huh. And you have to create an account in order to make you have to create an account in order to order the ambassador. Uh-huh. But it's $21.42.
Okay, that's the handheld embosser you're talking about.
Yes, it comes in a little leather pouch, black,
Yep,
that
I
you
see
can
it.
carry with you. Yeah.
I got it here. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. You're welcome.
It's Kathy still on the call.
Pardon?
Kathy still on?
Yeah, you have a question for him?
Yes, because I just got on late, so I don't know how much he said. But
Okay. Well, we're recording the call and you can catch up on it.
okay, well that's fine. Then let me just ask my question about the EIN numbers.
Go ahead.
What's the significance for the EIN numbers now in regards to this? Because it's not so much as a new process, but the process you're using now. Gotcha.
Well, basically, the EINs, okay, is a way of sort of masking over your Social Security account and your certificate of live birth account numbers, okay? You've got the estate EIN numbers, okay? And so basically, both of those, the Social Security and the certificate of live birth, are hidden behind that EIN number, okay? It's another individual identification number out there for you that goes in support of your bank routing number, your ABA routing number, your federal zone number, your zip code, plus your 4 digits. That's your depository. So, like on a check, okay, at the bottom of the check, you have to have the bank routing number. So your bank routing number is your zip code plus your 4-digit number. Then you have an account number. Now, say you have 2 accounts within the bank, you can have a overseeing account number that is over both of those, so that if basically one is empty, it'll revert over to the other one. And that's basically what that EIN, the estate EIN, is doing. Okay, it's hiding it away. It's not putting the 2 accounts right out there in the open. Now, when you get the 98 series number, just like in the movie Matrix, when Neo got unplugged from the system, but in the very first movie there, it talks about that you will have residual memories. You're still not quite sure what is going on, and you have residual memories into the Matrix. And that's what a lot of people have. If we had the 98 numbers, but we did not know fully how to break away from it. Now, the 98 number is a tax exempt number. So when you utilize that, you are standing as you are exempt from the matrix out here. And now you can dodge the bullets.
Well, most of us are having trouble getting 98 numbers, and you've said that when we do our complete withdrawal, we can ask them to set up such an account for us, or they may volunteer to set up.
Yeah, you start understanding, and basically you start bringing some of these things out, and to get a 98 number, basically, I don't know why people are having problems. Okay, because there should. Ask the people in the group. There's people on there that have gone and called up and got the thing. Find out what they did. You do not do a form to get a 98 number because you are form. Okay. You only have to do the form for the estate EIN because it's still in the fictional world.
Well, when I called up and tried to do it, the woman said that she was asking me questions, and what she was doing was filling out an SS4 to submit it.
Are you
So
talking
there-
about a 98 EIN?
A 98 EIN. I don't think any of us here have gotten the 98 EIN number yet.
No, I got a 46 one.
Well, that's your estate EIN.
You're not asking for a 98. You're asking for a foreign grantor
Right. Yes.
EIN. Okay, that's how you go about it. You ask for a foreign grantor trust EIN, and that you are foreign to the corporate United States. You are not in the machine world. You're outside the machine.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And you back that up with your W-8.
And
So that
you
would
have
need
your
to be
W-8 on
redone.
file in your back pocket, and you use that when you go in some of these things that state that you have. So, like with that, when you want to go and buy that new vehicle, and you do your 1099B or 1099C, the window sticker, you endorse that. You also include a W-8, and that you are exempt from all taxes in the process. So that you give it to them so that now they cannot try and withhold anything from you. They have to give everything to you because you're outside the machine world. You're exempt from being a machine.
And would this include all future taxes of any kind whatsoever? Pretty much.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Like the IRS, okay? Are they the tax collector for America?
No.
No. Who's the tax collector for America?
We are.
We are. We're the only ones that can be the tax collectors because all taxes have to go back to the source, and we are the source.
Can I use a 1099C to cancel out taxes that they say I owe?
Yes.
He has an example there for doing it with the IRS, and I'm going
Okay.
to be doing it for property taxes.
Okay.
Yeah. The only thing I think I messed up on was because I did a 1099A with it, and I was trying to claim the taxes back, and with the 1099C, I put it down in block 7. But then I turned around and I filled out a 1099A. Well, guess what I was doing?
Canceling it out?
Double
No, I was
dipping.
double dipping.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to get 2 payments back. I was
Yeah.
really only trying to get 1 payment back.
Right.
But
Right.
basically, what I ended up doing was appearing that I was trying to get 2 payments. And see, they're not going to put a double claim, a cancellation on one side and 2 on the other side because their books would be in balance.
Okay.
Yeah, no accountant's going to allow that to happen, or at least any good accountant shouldn't allow that to happen.
Right. Did you
But
talk about
they should have told us back and come back to us that since we messed up, they don't have to tell us.
Now, would you say that accountants are aware of this, or any accountant worth her salt that worked for the IRS would have knowledge of the birth certificate?
The
They
answer
don't.
is no, they don't.
They're not told. It's only for the
Because-
33rd degree.
No, because basically, when you send the items into the IRS, okay, in most cases, They're just ledgered entries. They're entered into the cash register.
Mhm.
What goes on in the cash register, they don't know.
But they
My
don't
uncle
know.
is an accountant. He doesn't know nothing about this.
But they don't
And he
know that the capital letters mean that we're corporations and.
It don't make a difference about the capital letters, okay?
Oh, okay.
Okay. But it does make a difference if you got Mr. or Mrs. in front of your name. Okay. That puts you in a different standing
Okay.
because you go out to the cemetery and basically you can see gravestones that are in all capital letters. You can see gravestones that are Patrick Devine or Jane Doe or whatever. But I doubt that you'll ever see a gravestone with Mr. on it or Mrs. on it.
Can you use Ms. like MS? Is that too generic?
Well, use the standard ones that they are aware of. Mrs., Miss, whatever. Okay.
All right.
That means you are a master or a mistress of the master. Okay.
All right.
And a woman is protected by her husband, by her dead husband, or by her father. See, when a woman gets divorced, she's supposed to revert back to her father. Now, if your father's dead, your husband's dead, or you're divorced and you don't have a husband, you have to revert to the book of Moses, where they came into the promised land, and the two daughters basically didn't have any husband. Their husbands had died, and their father had died, but they were still entitled to lawful inheritance in the promised land. Okay, so you reference some of these items because the Constitution was founded upon the eternal laws that come from the Bible. And basically, the laws that Moses laid down were supposed to be the laws until the end time. So they're the laws eternal. And that's where the last three letters of people come in. You are a principal executive officer. That is the first three letters of the word people. The last three letters are per laws eternal.
Where did you get that from, Patrick?
It's insight.
From the deepest, darkest depths of my mind.
Yes. He
If you can find it, you can keep it.
He ran, from the way I understand it, he ran across the phrase principal executive officer in the TARP legislation. And when he looked at that, he saw PEO. Well, that's the first part of people.
No, I got that part. That's okay.
Yeah, what could PLE stand for? And so that's what he came up with. And
Patrick, what did you think about the Constitution being the public side and the Declaration of Independence being the private side?
Well, I think that's a bunch of hogwash, okay? Read the document for what it really says. Just read it, and basically, it's not trying to hide anything.
No.
Okay? It's just, it's stating exactly that you have freedoms. You have rights. Okay?
Well, that's why, right? Because the Constitution then will be the public side, and the Declaration of Independence will be the private side. Self-determination, self-governance.
No. The preamble to the Constitution is on the private side.
Yes.
It states right there that we, the people, create this damn Constitution, this charter for the government.
And the preamble sets the whole framework for the rest of the Constitution. The rest of the Constitution has to adhere to that principle.
Yeah. And then basically, you'll see the protections that keep the corporation from attacking the individuals.
Right.
And then the fraud that they came in with the 14th Amendment, which was supposed to make the government wanted to make a profit. They wanted to be like everybody else. So that's sort of like in the history there about the Israelites wanting to have a king.
Well, that was the bankers
Yeah,
offering
they got a king, a false king, because everybody is their own king. But we got to have a centralization. We got to go to church. We got to sit down and listen to somebody tell us what to do. We can't think on ourselves. That's the problem with this damn country.
The corporate religion.
Well, it's not just here, Patrick. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes. But they've had years to perfect this stuff.
Well, they had years to brainwash our young
Yeah, and basically, like in the movie, watch the movie, the whole trilogy about the movie Matrix. Yeah, you can cut a bunch of it out, but basically, it's all right there when you know what you're looking for.
Well, I like what you said before, that there was no fraud, okay? It was just lack of information from the part of the people. And because how could they have explained all this to the people? The people wouldn't have had the knowledge to connect the dots.
Yeah.
If you don't know
it's just
commerce, if you don't know banking, how can they explain it to the people?
Yeah, well, see, nobody reads the Constitution and the statutes at large. This country
and many
was
can't
not
read.
set up. This country was not set up to have any debtor prisons in it. Okay, the Treasury
there
was
is no
sitting there.
brainwashing. There is no brainwashing. It's
Okay.
just stupid people.
It's amnesia.
The whole thing is this country was not to have any debtor prisons, period. That is in the first statutes at large out there, that basically if you got into debt, you were to turn to the Secretary of the Treasury and petition him to have some of the assets brought out to pay that debt. But see, the people didn't know that. That was the way it was all the way up till 1933. Then they gave us individual accounts out here. Now we were given the responsibility to take on care of ourselves. So all these people that are in prison out here on trumped up charges by the machine world, who can parole them out of prison?
Well, the prison is another banking system.
No, they can't.
No?
No. That individual can parole himself out because he can do it 1099-C and cancel the debt.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty simple, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mr. Patrick.
But it's
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Patrick, can you hear me?
Yes, barely. Speak up a little.
Okay, I will. When I pulled up some of the latest things that Google has been messing with on Yahoo, I finally found the secured party document, UCC1 format. Would you run through that real quick?
Well, basically on a UCC1, you just come in and you're coming in as the master, however you want to put your name. But to make a lawful claim, you normally come in with your last or your as the first name is going to be your clan name. Okay, try and stay away from using the word family. Okay, that has a false connotation to it. See, if you look it up in Anderson's dictionary, the word family, you're going to see that it is a household servant. Okay, and basically, who is the household servant? Well, basically, the kids are the household servants until they come of age of 21. So they are in the family. They are basically under the protection of that family, the father of that family. So that's where the usage of family comes in. But when you're out free, now you start your own clan, tribe, or whatever you want to call it. Or you're the head of the family.
Okay, so we have to establish this name by a UCC. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, you can do that by an affidavit.
Okay, I know you
And
mentioned
he
affidavit here.
he has the affidavit out there.
Right.
I just put a new affidavit up there, and basically you can claim that as for the principal executive officer.
Mhm.
And basically you are coming in as the master, the spirit, the body is, in my case, Mr. Divine Patrick. Now, my right hand person is going to be Mr. Patrick Divine.
Right. Now,
And I have a dead birth sack that's sitting over there that's plugged into the matrix that's just Patrick Divine.
right.
And see, that birth sack is holding my assets.
Right.
It's a shopping bag. It's an old bag.
Oh yeah. How crucial is it? Do you think?
Speak
Everybody
up,
should be-
speak up, please. I can barely hear you.
Do you think everybody should be filing this?
With a UCC?
Yeah.
Well, basically, if you've got one already, you can utilize that, but it doesn't cost you terribly much, only like maybe about 10, 12 bucks or so to get one filed. And then you have it on record that you have made a claim.
Okay.
Okay.
I filed in Washington D.C. the UCC one that I did a year ago. I just got a letter back from Washington State saying they canceled it because of all UCC ones now must have a court ordered a document to perfect it.
Yeah. See, the machines are starting to revolt. Okay.
Yeah.
They're starting to regurgitate.
Patrick, I have a question. On your affidavits, I see you use a notary. Is that a notary public or you just notarize as a living man?
They just notarized that basically I was the individual that was signing that document.
Right.
Okay, that's all they can do. They don't notarize the document itself. They
Yeah,
can't.
they're not authorizing the document. They're just witnessing the signature.
Yeah. And basically all you're doing with that is basically you're getting a authenticity added to it, a machine authenticity, so that basically it can go into the machine world.
Okay.
You can get 3 witnesses too for your signature.
Yeah, because I'm confusing. Sometimes you talk about you want to stay out of the machine world because you're a living man. We don't need
But
to use the notary.
until you come out, you haven't come out of the machine world. Yes, we want to come out. Okay. But to come out, we have to basically
Use
go
the
back
machine.
in. How many
Yeah.
times did Neo and Morpheus in the movie Matrix go back into the machine world to finally get to the point to where they could come out?
Okay.
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 Like I said, understand that movie Matrix. Those guys did an outstanding job on that. Also,
Yeah,
the Wizard of Oz, that movie Interstate 60, the Adjustment Bureau. There's a lot of movies out here that have been trying to tell us about free will, that we have to fight for it. But in some cases, we're going to have to go back into the system to come out, because in some cases, you came out the wrong door. Now you got to go back in, find the right door, and come out the right door this time.
Okay.
And that door will be, when you come out that door, you will be bringing your assets out, because that's the right door to bring the assets out with you.
Patrick,
Yeah, go ahead.
did you talk about how to liquidate the accounts, or did I miss that part?
Yeah, that we covered that earlier about using the 1099B, and you just fill out your information on the 1099B and who you're sending it to, and then you send that whole sheet, all three parts, that sheet in, along with like your certificate of live birth, your social security cards, and you send it into the brokering agent, which the bar cards basically are the brokers, okay? And the whole attorney general system, they have bar cards. They're brokers, and they're going to barter our exchangement of that certificate. And when we demand justice,
So we
were
send it.
going to the treasurer and trying to do it over there. No, it's the Justice Department that has the scales.
And when we send in the 1099B, we're actually sending in copy ABC to them and let them complete it.
The whole sheet. You don't tear anything apart. Okay. They will then have to send you, because you can't separate it because you haven't got the information for the settlement yet.
Right.
So you fill it all blanks?
No, you fill in your information on the sheet. Then you send the whole sheet in along with a 1099B, a voucher, and a cover letter, and the instrument or a copy of the instrument that you want bartered.
Well, I had we'll have to make them again sometime, but I made quesadillas, but I put a little bit of the meat crumble with the cheese. Then I put,
Discuss your dinner somewhere else, please.
the bacon with the grumble and that, the two tortillas together, and then cut them into like little triangles.
Please mute that we don't. Please
I don't have to.
don't discuss your dinner with us.
Patrick?
Yeah.
You're going to the Justice Department, right, for the settlements?
Yes.
But that's like, those are the judges, right?
No. The Justice Department. Okay. The Attorney General. The judges are an entirely different subject matter. The Justice Department is the one that will broker between us and the courts.
And we send
they're the brokering agents.
We send it to the AG directly, or is there a CFO in the Justice Department?
Well, I would send it to the Attorney General because he is the CFO of the American, the United States of Washington, D.C. Okay. The machine world. Okay. There was no title given to the government of the United States of America. It just had a seat of government. And it was located in Washington, D.C. So the United States Corporation derived its existence from Washington, D.C., the seat of government.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Your state was Iowa, was California, was Nebraska. But the state of Iowa derived its existence from the government of our government, the Iowa government. That's why in the state of Iowa here, we have Iowa University, and then we have the state of Iowa University, the Johnny Come Lately University, the one that derived its existence from the original. Now, they tried to make that pretty obvious, but nobody saw that.
Patrick, what was the act that created the individual treasury accounts?
That was basically in 1920, and it was the independent treasury. So if you pull up the statutes at large for 1920, and you go in and try and find Independence Treasury in that PDF file, you should come across it. It was in 1920 there. I posted that up on the site. I pulled that out, and it set up a special fund and a trust fund. Okay, that's not a trust fund, but a in trust fund. Okay.
All right.
That was the Shipping Act of 1920?
No,
No?
it was, I forget which act it was, but it's
Okay.
it's
you
in there.
mentioned-
Okay.
You had mentioned before the Shipping Act.
Well, that covered several other items that we were
Okay.
looking at that point in time.
Okay, very good.
So before, like the accounts were all one collective entity at
Yep.
the Treasury.
And see, there is still one big account for everybody that is not registered.
Yes, and that's what the 98 series number would provide access to, correct?
Yeah, basically you're going to be able to come in and claim, put a charge in against that account in there that you've never been registered, so you are a foreigner. So all you'd have to do is just go right in and get a 98 number if you've never been registered. Then you would put that in, and you would use that on your 1099 A's, B's, and C's. See, that's like in the movie Matrix. Okay, what's his name in the first movie? They were born out on the land. Okay, they didn't have the plugs, the holes that showed that had ever been plugged into the system. I forget which. They ended up dying in that first movie there, but they were brothers, but they were born free. Okay, they were born the old-fashioned way. They weren't born in the system that everybody out here in the fields has been put into. But see, we were not put into the system until after 90 days. So, in the process, in the write-up that I did, going in one of my letters there to the Attorney General, we are demanding to be given back to our status quo, our original status. And basically, that is where you had your feet, your footings. Where is your footings? And basically, that was from our original hospital birth certificate or recording at the hospital or the family Bible. That is your footings. And see, unless you address your footings into a court of equity, they are not obligated to give you back to a status quo that is unknown. You
I was
have
looking
to
at
identify the status quo that you are going back to.
I was looking at Anderson's law dictionary, and I was reading about infant and
You don't need to read that. Go to statute or status. Go and read what it says about status and then status quo.
All right, I'll check that out. But I was looking at as the infant in the IRS manual, it stated that an infant is a decedent of an estate that is yet to receive a Social Security number. And so I came across looking at orphan and then orphans court. And orphans court actually stated that in Delaware, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and perhaps in other states, the title of the court having jurisdiction to settle the estates of decedents. And then it went ahead and said, see guardian, probate, court of. So I went into looking at the definition of guardian, and that's when I came upon there was a office of, it was called the office
Well,
of
let me stop you
tutor.
right there, okay? You're going in the wrong direction, okay? I'll make it very simple to you, okay? You got recorded, okay? Now, How many copies can you go up and get for that certificate of live birth?
As many as I need.
As many as you need. Okay. Are you bound, or are you essentially a parolee, one who has been paroled out into the system? You are on parole. Okay. They paroled you out into the system. I see. Now you're under the auspice of being a paroled employee or a paroled citizen. But you're still bound to the one who is holding the document to allow you to be paroled out. So you have to come in and do a cancellation of the parole. Okay? It's not about guardianship or anything like that. It's all about paroles. And see, a parole can be for 50 years, it can be for 5 months, whatever. When somebody gets out of prison, they get placed on parole, don't they? But they're not jailed up at night. They can go about acting like they're free. But they have to keep reporting back in. Well, don't you have to keep reporting back in? Yes, because you're on parole. And that's why you basically are bound to do the 1099As and stuff until you come out of being under parole. And you do that when you do the 1099Cs and cancel the debt that is associated with that, or do those 1099Bs and terminate the whole thing. That only you can do this. Can't go to some group and basically do it. They can't do it for you. And basically, in a lot of cases, what they will do, they will put you under their parole. You just don't know it.
Did you just say a 1099B, Patrick?
1099B is for the brokers for that certificate.
Oh, see, I thought it said C.
Yeah, you have to bring that parole certificate into closure. And that's why I was saying it's all about parole.
And then go to the Attorney General.
Yes, yep. You go to the Attorney General of the state for your state's certificates, but the certificate of live birth has to go back to the country, to the United States, to the head machine. But your driver's license can go to the state Attorney General or CFO of the machine, and he's also the conductor. He takes the tickets.
And that's where they give you title, right? With the state.
Well, they gave you a parole title, okay?
Okay.
They paroled you out. So they gave you a receipt to walk around. That certificate of live birth is really a receipt.
Okay.
It's a parole receipt. And just like Walmart, they give you a receipt, a parole receipt. And you have to come in and cancel the debt behind it and then claim the tax that is owed that should have been going to the Treasury, but it's now you canceled the debt that goes to the Treasury. Now it comes to you. So now you get the credit.
So, Patrick, we're not sending any of these tax forms for the IRS?
Send any of what to the IRS?
The 1099, we're not sending any of them to the IRS
You
at
do
all?
a 1099C, you send it to the IRS with the 1096 form. You don't do it for the B. You send the B strictly to the Attorney General. They are going to be the payee. You are the recipient. I guess I didn't say that before. I should have clarified that. We are not the payee. Okay, on that. The Attorney General, the machine, is the payee. They're the ones that are holding our assets. They have to bring it into settlement, and then they make the payment to us, the recipient.
Go to one more sentence.
On the 1099-B, okay, you have the payer and then the recipient. The payer is the broker who is going to take that certificate or that stock, share of stock. You give that share of stock to the broker and say, I want to cash this thing out. So he's going to be the payer because he has the instrument now. He can go into the system, cash it out. Then he's going to be the payer, and you're going to be the recipient of what is being paid out.
So we would also endorse that certificate then like a receipt when we send it back in.
Yes. And then basically notify them that basically this is coming out under your W-8 and or 98 series EIN. You are exempt from taxes.
Hey, Patrick, it's Gita. I got a quickie. I got 2 more envelopes from the IRS with the EIN things, and they're just duplicates. So I've got 3 envelopes with the $300 penalty. So I'm going to lump them together. I'm going to do a 1099-C with the 1096 and send all of that to the IRS with the verbiage.
No. Okay. You do the red copies of that 1099-C and send that to the IRS with the 1096 form. You take the C copy of that, you keep that for your records.
And then the B.
You take the B copy of that and you make up a package and you send that to the claims department of the U.S. Postal System down in St. Louis, Missouri. They are the ones that are holding the assets right now. They would be essentially the individual broker for the CFO of the postal system.
Okay, so the 1099-C has A, B, and C section, 3 pages. The first page goes to the IRS. The second page goes to the
Claims department.
claims, and the C, the last part, I keep.
You keep that for your records, okay?
Right.
Look over those documents.
Yeah, I
Just
did.
look at the front page and stop there.
Yeah, I just got them.
I mean, what person just reads the cover and throws the book down? Okay, you got to read the material inside.
Yes. Okay.
Patrick, I have a question.
Yeah.
I've got 2 daughters that are 22. So are they still under me then
Yes.
as the PEO? They cannot claim that affidavit until they're 25 then.
No, basically they could come in and start making claims against their own stuff right now. But basically they're still under your protection. Okay? You're still responsible for them because guess what? You haven't given them away yet, have you? No? Okay. Well, then they're still under your protection. Or the law, until you give them away, they're still part of you. Yeah. Just because they think they've got the right to vote and everything else doesn't mean that they have the right to vote in the real world. They only have the right to vote in the machine world and to wear pants in the machine world. Okay?
Okay.
The machine world basically tried to separate everybody out into individuals. Just a minute. To break up the families, to destroy the farms, to basically control everything.
Okay.
Now, watch the movie Matrix. It's all like this. All the kids were basically grown in the fields.
So
and then they were brought into town and plugged into the towers. And each tower represented an individual state within the major corporation.
So an 18-year-old can do all the individual transactions for loans and all of that, but they can't send in the 1099-B to cash out to liquidate the account.
They can't liquidate the account until basically they turn 21, or the guardian can do it for them.
Ah,
Okay, you have to have guardianship or fiduciaryship over them. Think about it. I mean, what makes any sense? That's what really all this stuff comes down to. And basically that's why half the stuff that these other people are talking about, it don't make sense. It don't hold water. It leaks like a sieve, just like the Bible does. It's called the Holy Book because it's got holes all over it. It's leaking like a sieve. You have to come in and plug the holes like the little boy in the dike over there in the Netherlands that stuck his thumb in the wall. You plug up the hole. I mean, how many of these kid stories apply to this whole thing? Almost every one of them.
Thank you.
Okay, I hope that made a little sense. But this is your discussion. You guys discuss this. If you think that I'm wrong, discuss it. That's what this Sunday night deal here is supposed to be, is discussion. I was just coming in to try and put some additional information in there to basically try and beef up tomorrow's night's session, like to give you some advanced stuff that maybe you can do something tonight and get it out in the mail in the morning. People wanting to know how to get a new car. Basically, I tried to explain it to you. It's pretty damn simple. You don't need to have a UCC in place. It doesn't hurt, but you don't need it. There's no requirement that says you have to have a UCC one in place. It gives you a little more standing in their world, recognition. That's about all it does. But you still have the ultimate standing as an American citizen because you stand over them entirely. And then you can start dodging all their bullets when you understand what is going on here. You don't fight them in court. You do not reference any of their codes when you're trying to go after justice. You want justice? You stand by the Constitution and the articles that support the Constitution. You are not supposed to be an indentured servant. Okay, that is basically addressed in Article 13 or 14. The courts do not have jurisdiction. They lost that jurisdiction in Article 11. They gave them too much authority in the Constitution to begin with. Those courts were strictly to be over the corporations, not over the living individuals. But you got to learn how to read what is being said in those articles. The government can create no religion, and religion is a belief. And then basically, if you're out here believing that you are a United States citizen, that is a religion. You're worshiping a false god, and that's in violation of the first three items of the Ten Commandments.
Hey, Patrick, this is Steve in California. Could I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
We were talking earlier, and you wrote a letter about getting a letter of safe passage, and something in lieu of a driver's license, and I made comments about how I noticed here where I live, they have local city transit buses and they have exempt plates on them. And obviously, it costs like $4 minimum to ride the bus. And it obviously weighs more than 10,000 pounds. So, but they're driving with exempt plates on it. Then if they're exempt plates, then I wonder if the driver, I'm sure the driver that they hire has to have a license. But if we're not going to have a license, we can just operate our own private property. We just can't go rent a car and stuff like that. But if we should be able to get some type of letter of safe passage or some type of exemption or, something from these people. I don't know if they have the authority to do that. What do you think's the best thing to request other than, do you think just a letter of safe passage is sufficient?
Well, basically, I wouldn't rent a car. Okay.
Right. I don't really want to rent one either, but I'm just saying.
You ride in a taxi or you get a limo.
Yeah.
I mean, when you come out of this system, basically, you're going to be driving around, and basically that's what a lot of was going on. They were riding in limos in the movie Matrix.
Mm-hmm. Huh. Yeah. I haven't seen the other ones, but I understand.
I mean, sort of take a look at some of the little things that are in these movies that you never thought would be applicable.
Mm-hmm.
But on the license, basically, if you come in and you get that new vehicle and you get the free and clear manufacturer's title by clearing up all the debt and you get it directly from the manufacturer, now you take that manufacturer's title to the state and you show them that you need an exempt license.
Mm-hmm.
Because the state has no jurisdiction over that free and clear piece of property.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have your documentation to show that it is free and clear.
Right.
I thought that just by the pink slip, it was it. No, we have to get the manufacturer's title from the manufacturer.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, like whatever whatever automobile we're driving now, the state probably has that, but they're gonna, even if you ask for it, they don't even respond. I mean, so like you have to assume that it's lost or stolen and then create your own chattel deed or do something like that.
Right.
Yeah. That's what I was
basically you turn around, you take say you've got a vehicle right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
You've got the purchase price on that, the original purchase price for that vehicle. Why is that original purchase price on that title? And why does it carry on with every subsequent buyer?
Why?
Because that
it never really was paid for, yeah.
That is the price that you have to put on your 1099-C and send it back to the chief financial officer of where that car was manufactured and order them to give you the title to that vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it may be 15 years old, the manufacturer's title is still back with the manufacturer.
Right.
There may not be any debt associated because it should have been settled after 3 years, but you're going to put it in and put it in for the full amount of the settlement.
Did you say that number is somewhere on the title or something? Did you think that value is somewhere?
The dollar value is, yeah.
Oh, it is? I'm going to go get it.
At least here in the state of Iowa, it is. New purchase price of the vehicle.
Go ahead and let somebody else talk. I'm going to look it up.
Greg left on the chat here that most dumpsters are not locked now to prevent identity theft.
Yeah. I mean, those receipts don't tell who bought them.
That's true.
Yeah, but you're not going after the credit card ones. They're supposed to destroy the ones that have the credit card information on them.
That's true.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you go down there and basically, as soon as the clerk goes behind the thing, you grab the trash can. Don't grab the cash register. You grab the trash can. I'm taking the trash out.
It's more valuable.
Yeah, it's more valuable. I mean, yeah. What are they going to do? Charge you with theft of trash? Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see that one going to court. Well, I was only stealing the trash.
No, I was only carrying
Nobody
trash.
claims that, so I was claiming the trash.
Right, you throw it away.
Yes. Yeah, you take your garbage bag in there and basically you dump the trash into the garbage bag. Shit, half these clerks and everything, they don't know who all works in the damn store. And you just say, well, I'm the new cleanup man. I'm coming in here to collect the garbage. I'm the garbage collector.
Okay, that'll work.
I mean, be creative.
That is creative.
Yeah. Hell, several women out here have been doing this with coupons for years. They would have been more money ahead if they would have been going after the receipts. I mean, how many millions of dollars are basically being thrown away out here?
Probably billions.
Yeah. Everybody that's homeless. I mean, it's everybody out here. Basically, you've got an account number. Utilize it. You need to have a reference point, a bank, postal bank routing number, or you go down to the general post office or to the post office and get a general delivery in their 98 or 99 number account.
Yes. Okay.
See, that's what they had before. Okay, before when everybody was on the rural route system, our general account, our bank routing number was the post office with the 9998 or 999 number, depending on whether you lived on the north side of the tracks or the south side of the tracks.
And you just then have the proceeds from the receipts and the voucher deposited into that post office deposit.
Yeah. Or you just basically have it set back in cash or in postal money orders, which you can convert into cash readily. You give the postal money order to the postmaster. Basically, they better have enough money to cash that money order, or basically they may have to say, well, I'll have to get the money and come back tomorrow or after lunch or something like that.
Yeah.
They will have to take something over and then basically do a withdrawal from their bank account over at the local bank. Or you could take it all out with stamps. They've got enough stamps there because stamps are money too.
Yeah.
You've got so many options out here that people have just been bypassing. Let your mind start wandering. Free it. Like the old song says, born free, but quickly enslaved.
Hey, Patrick, way down on the bottom of my certificate of title, I'm looking for any amount that looks like a dollar sign. Way down at the bottom, there's a 021476. It's right next to the certificate number, of the title. The certificate, and there's a barcode at the top that's been taped.
Well, I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm just telling you what I see. It's not like they have a box.
That basically, in most cases, at least here in the state of Iowa, they have the original purchase price for that vehicle. And see, that's giving you a heads up.
Right.
That is the price that you put down on your 1099-C to go back to the CFO for that Chevy or that Ford or whatever.
Right.
And that's what the amount of debt that you're canceling. And then you're canceling that. The value of that vehicle is now only down about $500. and then you're claiming that vehicle to be free and clear, and you're ordering that they now send you the manufacturer's title of being free and clear of all debts.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have that, and basically then the certificate that the state gave you, you turn around and cash that in because it's got value to it. And you send that to the Attorney General with the 1099-B to barter that or broker that security. Because you don't know how much value it has.
Right. So we send a C to the manufacturer and a B to the Attorney General.
Yeah.
Okay.
The state that's holding the certificate of title. You also
Right.
send a copy of the certificate of title to the state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember you said that. It's just good to hear it over again. I'm glad.
But so, man,
yeah, I think that number way
when you
down.
go to the manufacturer, you're referencing the VIN number of that vehicle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll just write a letter to the manufacturer's Chevrolet, and I'll just say, "Hey, here's my VIN number, and it was originally built in 1990."
Well, then you need to do a 1099-C and a 1099-B, a voucher, because you are ordering the returns. You're vouchering them to return that certificate, manufacturer certificate of title, free and clear to you. That's what you're claiming on the voucher.
Mm-hmm. But if I don't know the amount, then all you do is just claim the numbers. Then, just like before, like you say, you want it.
Well, you try
liquidated.
to figure out what the original price of that was.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. That's all.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
But we're not going to try to claim a refund on that original price, though.
Yes.
No. You're claiming the title.
Right.
Right.
Okay. And any excess debt that basically is owed. Okay.
But what if you paid the car off and then
You go after the Attorney General with that. You tell them to broker it, the certificate, and for them to send you the refund.
Well, they will send you, when they broker that, they've been writing bonds for so much against that vehicle. Okay.
Yes.
And we don't know.
As the manufacturer's value increased, okay, up to at the end of 3 years on the wagering contract, that it was paid in full. Okay. Now, that first year, basically, we'll say that 1/3 of the value went away. That allowed the state to write bonds for up to 1/3 the value of that vehicle because they had control of it now.
Okay.
Okay. See, this is a convoluted accounting system when you look at it, but you have to look at it from all aspects of it as being where the assets are and what they're using them for. They want to build a new road. Well, they've got a pool of vehicle titles sitting over here that they can assess so much value against each one of those. Because they're either in a 1, 2, or 3 or full paid off scenario.
So if it was paid off, in no matter what time frame, after 3 years, if it was paid off, can you still get your funds back?
You may be able to get the funds back if they haven't transmitted those in. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if you had a loan on the car, you could go after that as a loan transaction.
That is another transaction. See, you've got too many plugs into the system.
Right. I hear that. It's confusing.
Yeah. That you just do a 1099-C for that loan that you have.
Okay.
Okay. And that you cancel the debt with that loan. The loan company gave you a receipt, didn't they?
Yeah.
Okay, they paroled a receipt to you. So you have a paroled receipt. So now you're taking that paroled receipt and you're clearing the debt. You're freeing up that receipt. So now it is a receipt in full. Read the definition of receipt in full in Anderson's dictionary.
Okay.
Yeah, this is good learning material. It's really good.
Now, I'll tell you a little bit here. Some of this stuff, I just came off the fly on this, okay? Because I'm thinking. That's what you people need to start doing, is thinking.
Well, I think you can get more creative as you go along doing this process.
Yes, that you have to talk about it, and that's what you need to talk about in the groups, and not have this other stuff that people get into the group discussions, and then all of a sudden they're talking about cooking pancakes or something. I mean, come on, ladies.
Right. That's why I brought this question up, because there's a lot going on just with their car. You just said there's a loan, there's a registration, there's a certificate, there's a manufacturer of origin. There's lots of things going on. We have to understand it all. It's like a big kaleidoscope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I understand that on property, real estate property, there's also the equivalent of a manufacturer certificate of origin. It's called certificate of conveyance. And the banks never even admit that they have those. That's another security.
The banks don't have them.
They don't.
No.
No,
Think about where that would be at.
It'd be at the county.
they don't have them. Period.
Okay. Could be at the
Try the
county.
land records.
Yeah, it's the
Okay.
county.
The land records.
Oh, okay. Wasn't that the county?
Where's the origin? Where's the manufacturer? It's
Yeah.
the land.
Yeah.
So you would go to the Land Bureau.
Bureau of Land Management, BLM.
Yeah.
Find the original patent.
Well, a lot of things with these mortgages, they just don't have any document at all. I mean, that's my
But
problem.
they gave you something, didn't they? They gave you a receipt. Walmart's not going to give you a contract. What did Walmart give you? They gave you a receipt.
Right.
Okay. So stop arguing something that's basically, you're arguing for the wrong thing. You want that receipt. I'll take that mortgage as a receipt. And it's a parole receipt to me that I can cancel the debt and bring him out of prison anytime I want to. All I have to do is a 1099-C. Cancel the debt.
But
See where I'm coming from?
Yeah, but when you pay your taxes, like out of impounds out of your loan or something else, then the bank probably did all that themselves instead of us. I never got a receipt for the taxes I paid to the county, but I can go say I paid them.
Well, when you get your mortgage statement at the end of the year, they itemize all the taxes and they itemize all that stuff.
That's because you never gave a receipt in full.
Yeah.
You never made that receipt. That bill that they sent you was a receipt. You endorsed that receipt and you send it back with a 1099-C. Now you have settled that bill in full. So now that is a receipt in full. See, people have been looking at the wrong words here. It's all about parole and receipts. The bills of exchange is basically, that's what we don't do, bills of exchange, but we endorse these receipts as a bill to exchange it back for settlement. So it is a bill of exchange.
Yeah, I just had the stamps made up for the endorsements that you have.
Well, basically, or modify them, and basically, you can put down on there your account numbers that you're setting this off against, so that they know that you are in the system and that you are an account holder there at the Treasury.
Okay.
Okay, so just don't take my stamps as gospel, please. Use them for what I put them up there as information to make you think about what is going on. I didn't try and set up any religion here, okay? So don't try and make me a god or anything like this out of this damn deal. I'm just a human being, okay?
We'll get creative.
Yeah, that I can think outside the box a little more than some other people, but that's for me. You have to do your own thinking and create your own religion and your own church within your tabernacle of your spirit. Your Yahweh or your you.
Okay. Any more questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Basically, is it a big deal if you use the forms for, 1099 A and C's for 2012 instead of 2013? Is that a big deal or no?
You have to have the 2013.
You have to, because you went to.
I put the template up there for 2013, okay, for the B copy. Okay.
Yeah, I see
Now
that.
you don't have to have the A copies submitted right away. But
Okay.
it will take roughly about a week's time to call up or to order them online and get them delivered. I did both. I ordered 30, 1090 or 90, 1099 A's and C's. That's 30 sheets of each one of those. And then about 20 sheets of the 10 or 15 sheets of the 1099B. I didn't need that many. And then about 30 1096 forms. And see, when you do the 1096, you can only submit one type of form in with that at a time. So when you do a 1096, it's either for all 1099As that you have, or all 1099Cs, or all 1099Bs. But there again, we're not going to be the ones to submit the 1099Ds into the IRS. And more than likely, they will never go to the IRS except by back door. Okay, because we're sending them into the Attorney General's office or the Chief Financial Officers, and they will be processing them by way of the back door. But, yeah, and I just got mine. It was just about a week's time, and I got both packages. And I got 2 package double order because I ordered them both online, and then I called up and talked to the guy out there and ordered them through him and in Bloomington, Illinois. Now they will come by UPS. They don't send them out with the envelope, the $300 penalty envelope anymore.
So I was looking for that.
Sucks.
Yeah, because basically too many of us were screwing that $300 penalty envelope up. So they said, well, shit, we're not going to bother with that anymore. And basically their biggest draw is not from the private individuals. It's more from the corporate people that are ordering the forms. Not that many private people order these forms.
Right.
But
Now, I
if you order extra ones and basically somebody gets in a problem in jail, you can hand them a 1099C and say, here, fill this out. I'll show you how to fill it out. And you give the B copy to the court. You just cancel the charge.
Yeah, so what you're saying is on 1099-6, we only check one box, right?
You can only check one box. Read the instructions. Check one box. But you can submit 20 1099As with that 1096 form.
But you just add the total, right?
Yeah, you total them up. I'm submitting, but you're only submitting one type of form.
Okay. Patrick, I have one more question. Sorry. I never got the the news. What happened with the Bureau of Public Debt? Why we not go to the Bureau of Public Debt anymore? What was wrong with paying the portion of our public debt?
You're not. You're not a debtor.
But the old cap's name is.
No, he isn't.
Okay.
He's the only debtor that he is in debt to is to us.
We're the creditors.
We're the creditor. The living individual's the creditor, and basically he's our left-hand person. He's dead. So we, as the creditors, we have in and cancel the debt, but we have to go to where the debt is located at, and it's not the Bureau of Public Debt. It's at the manufacturers. It's at Walmart. It's at Subway. It's at McDonald's. It's at True Value. It's at Ford Motor Company. They're the debtors. They borrowed from our assets. That's why this whole system was set up, was so that they could access the accounts. Now, the bankers control the manufacturer, all these corporations, because at the end of the year, a corporation has to zero its books. It can't carry a profit into the next year and start out free and clear. Only a private enterprise can do that. But a controlled, state-controlled corporation, they have to zero their books. That means that they have to go to the bankers to get money to start up the next year. That's how the bankers control the corporations. Just like they're controlling the people. The bankers are controlling both sides of the process. Under fraudulent codes and everything else. I just get a kick out of people like Ron Paul and Rush Limbaugh and what's his name down there in Texas. That these guys, oh yeah, they're out there just trying to help the people. The American Free Press talk about garbage rags. They haven't told the people one damn way to try and restore or help the country. They incite the people into chaos.
So you're saying Ron Paul probably doesn't know about these bonds and how this money system works, basically?
I'm saying that he's just a good insider, but he's working in a different inside system out here. He's not really trying to help the people. I mean, all it takes out of his mouth one time. Hey, people, go to a 1099-C.
You gotta go.
It'd be out of his mouth before they could pull the trigger.
Huh?
Yeah, he would wake a lot of people up in this country to go and look 1099-C.
I gotta go do a couple days to go meet up with Brandon's.
Someone's holding a conversation.
I'm surprised Alex Jones is not talking about 1099-C.
Huh?
I'm surprised. I never heard Alex Jones in Texas talking about 1099-C's and A's.
No, and he never will.
Right.
He's an insider too.
Yeah. He is just a public mouthpiece to just try and keep the people in a state of revolt.
He's like a Yasser Arafat. He's just a bird dog. He points at who's the bad guys are.
Yeah.
Well, they need to keep us fighting each other so that they can steal us blind to the back room.
Yeah. And back in Jesus, they were called Barabbases.
He's a shill.
Yeah, the people love the Barabbases. Hell, my mom loves ARP. Oh, they got good articles. I said, but that thing is a rag. It's not telling you dick shit.
That's true.
And I have no problem in telling that to my mom at times, even using those words. Because that's the only way you can wake some of these people up is to hit them right between the eyes with the 2x4s, and sometimes using a swear word is a 2x4.
Yes.
Patrick, I remember you talking about people getting their birth weight in gold, and I have a question about that. Is that happened sometime in the past? People actually getting their birth weight in gold?
Yeah, you can basically demand your birth weight in gold. Okay, that you are entitled to that amount of gold.
Those are your inherent assets, right?
Huh?
Yeah, I was wondering about the.
Inherent
Well,
assets.
you basically when you come out of the system, you would go back, and one of the key things after you do your brokerage with your 1099-Bs, your assets will come to you probably in the form of a gold-backed note bond, meaning that you have access to the gold that's in the deposit carries in this country underground, about 5 miles underground. And basically, you have a right to go in and hold weight in gold. So you could put a claim in after you get out of the system for that amount of gold. Okay.
But I was thinking about
Just remember. Okay, just remember this. Gold is heavy. Okay? You put it in your back pocket and try and swim across the lake with that in your back pocket. Unless you're pretty strong, you're adding a lot more weight, and basically you may not make it to the other side. You may drown. So just because you have the right to it doesn't make it logical that you go and claim it in the real substance. You only claim it when you need it.
You claim the value, not the goods.
Yeah, you hold the piece of paper. You can swim across with a quarter of an ounce piece of paper a lot easier than 25 extra pounds of weight added to your body.
Yeah, you're talking about credits, right?
Yeah.
But where did the birth weight of gold, like you said, it's an inheritance or something that was given in the old days? When did we stop learning about that? I mean, I can't recall anybody even talking about it.
Well, how long did it take the Hebrews, and how many times between Moses and the New Testament did the Hebrews continue to screw up? I think about 6 or 7 times in between Moses and Jesus. They went back into the same, just like what we're in right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How long does it take a man to become stupid?
Oh, you mean like when they wandered the desert for 40 years?
No, basically that was a learning cycle. Okay.
Yeah, right. So that was like a natural thing that had happened as a family member if he had a son or something to just entitle him.
Basically, was it 40 years? No. Okay.
Yeah.
It was a metaphor.
Yeah.
You have to look at what the real actual item was. And then in some cases, you have to, like I told people, you get a receipt. Okay. I had to get the one from the post office. And then I got a couple of them and set them down next to each other. But theirs are pretty easy to identify. So now you go to Casey's or Subway or Walmart or something like that. You can't tell what numbers are what numbers just from one receipt. You have to get 2 receipts at least, lay them down side by side, and then start looking for those numbers that are different, not for the items that you purchased, but for the numbers that are on those receipts that are different.
Yeah, identifiers.
Yeah. One's identifying the cash register machine, one's identifying the store number, and then they probably also might have a couple other numbers, but then they will have a receipt number on there also, or a bill number, like the post office does. And that's the same thing you have to do with the Bible. You have to lay, like the Old Testament, down to the New Testament and do a comparison between the two And then you can start deciphering what the differences were and what the metaphors, how they merged from one to the other.
Okay, any more? More questions?
You know, it's a good call.
I
It's
just
like
want
good
to.
explanations.
Yes, I really do appreciate it, Patrick. We learned a lot.
Somebody was going to ask a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just trying to understand when you say there shouldn't be at least debtor prisons, and you can be a debtor because you're a living man. What if you squander all your assets and then you go to the treasury? I mean, you are a debtor, right? You're borrowing from other people, right?
No. That treasury is unlimited. Okay. You have full faith and credit in that treasury. Now, you have no idea how big that treasury is, but we know it's up in the trillions. Okay. Now, I don't think you yourself could go out there and even probably squander $10 million, because to do that, okay, you would be a thief. But a man of just operating in with justice is not going to be a squanderer. See where I'm coming from?
Right. It's hard to spend that. It's hard to spend that
Okay.
kind of money wisely.
So you would, if you spent that money in a dishonest way, yeah, you're going to go to jail because you've actually committed an actual crime.
Yeah, nowadays, if you're, all cast name, corporate, the person, nobody goes to jail. I mean, that's limited liability, right?
Well, you go in and you cancel the debt. See, you're paroled out here. You are an attachment to that certificate of live birth, which is a paroled item. Now, if we'll just take a simple case, forget anybody having a certificate of live birth, anything out here. Now, you go to prison and basically you've committed a crime. You get out on parole. The parole board says we're going to let you go, but you have to be report in every other week, and you're going to be on parole for 5 years. Okay, so now if you violate one of the parole rules, which would be like speeding, getting a traffic ticket, or jaywalking, not filling out tax forms, then you're going to go back to jail. It's all about parole. But if you go in and you cancel the debt entirely, you're no longer on parole. You're a free man. Now, their corporate parole laws do not apply to you. And that's all that these CFRs, these codes of federal regulation, and United States codes and codes of the state of California, they're all parole codes. I hope that makes a little sense.
Yeah, he does.
Okay.
I mean, it is a simple structure. We have to learn to see all the complicated detail that's thrown at us, what the structure really is.
Yeah, but don't make it overly complicated.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what too many people do. They make it too complicated. Well, if you're making it too complicated, that means you're still plugged into their system. You're scared to death of the damn shitheads.
Yeah.
Well, you say the word IRS and everybody quivers in their boots. Especially when they say they're going to garnish your wage and come after your home.
Yeah, and they're only saying that to try and make you find out what remedy you have out there to prevent them from doing it.
Exactly.
And
And that's
1099.
basically 1099-C to cancel the debt.
Yeah.
Right. And they're not happy until they bleed every penny from you.
No, that
you
is
let them.
not the truth. That's a presumption.
Exactly.
Okay, so stop making false presumptions. The
Only if
IRS
we-
has helped me in a lot of cases out here. They are the ones that went and got my 98 number for me. They're the ones that got my 61 series estate EIN number for me when I called up and complained to them. When I did the 3520 form and 3528 form and sent it out to Ogden, Utah, and I put down my Social Security account as an EIN. They said, that's not an EIN. And they said, well, we'll go out to Philadelphia and we'll get you one. So they went out to Philadelphia and they got me one.
Wow.
Now, is that somebody that screw you over? The answer is no.
No.
Okay. So don't make false presumptions. That's just like half the people that go into court. They make the false presumption that that court has jurisdiction over them.
Yeah, but the IRS didn't help you with removing enemy of the state presumption, didn't they?
No, but it was only because we came in and started arguing the opposite side before we even gave them a chance to offer us a remedy. We didn't ask for something. Just like the old saying goes, you're not going to receive it until you ask for it. Just
Now,
like
do we-
going to court, and basically the judge is going to send him to lockup for 60 days. And he said, no, I don't accept that. And the judge said, well, what would you accept? He said, well, I'd accept going down to the YMCA every other night. Judge said, done. The guy wasn't quick enough to say, well, I'll spend every night at the YWCA. Let the judge think about that one before he commits.
You were going to ask a question?
Yes, we want a 98 EIN.
Yes, foreign grantor trust.
Okay.
You married?
Yes.
Okay. You don't need one. Your husband gets it.
Well, I've got a problem with that.
You're under his protection. Got that?
Not
Read
really.
the Bible. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then stand by the law and stop standing by the bullshit that basically everybody's been putting out here that women and men are two different things. When you got married, you were supposed to become one. Okay.
But what if?
He was supposed to claim your estate, your dowry.
Yeah. But what if he wants to pay? What if? I mean, he's not like this. I mean, he
Doesn't
Is
get
the
it.
bill in his name or is it in your name?
it's in both of our names.
Okay, then you just, since the way they have it right now, you can submit the 1099-C and you don't need to have the 1099-A. If they come
Okay.
after you for any taxes, you do a 1099-C for that too.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
And basically, where do all taxes have to go?
To you.
To me.
They have to go back to the source where they were derived from. Now you put the claim in on line 7. And then you put a 1099-C voucher. You've canceled the debt that's on the one side of the teeter-totter. Now it's in balance. You have to take the credit off the other side back into balance. You have to adjust the accounting books.
Okay.
Learn how to teeter-totter again.
I do the C and then I do the B.
No, you do a V, a Victor,
A V. Okay.
Voucher.
a vendetta. Okay? Like in the movie, V.
Okay.
Yeah. You get your revenge with the V. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. That's what the V is. My vengeance.
Well, I can do that.
Okay. I should have said that a long time ago, but it just fit into this discussion right here.
Yes.
Yeah. The V is your vengeance or your vendetta,
Okay.
your
Since
settlement.
they took all the money.
Yeah. So basically, you give them a V.
Okay.
Yeah. Now you can be like all the little birthday children out there in 1963 or whatever out there in Bakersfield, holding up their fingers. Need for victory. You can become a flower child.
Well, that's my era, so yeah.
Okay. I mean, you got to have fun with this too when you're looking at this stuff.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's
Thank you.
probably
Okay.
that's,
I've
Thank you
talked
so
too damn
much.
much probably tonight. So
And my name is
Oh,
this is
Pat.
supposed to be your group discussion.
okay. Thank you very much, Patrick. It's very
Thank
much
you,
of a help.
Patrick.
Okay. You
And
guys
we're
have
all
a good
gonna
night. I've got a whole bunch of 1099Cs that I've got to, and I've got about 22 of them for my traffic tickets to go in and write them out. So, yeah, this isn't an easy task. I mean, so don't tell me you've done this thing the next day or something. Well, I got that done. I very strongly doubt you've got your homework totally done in one day's time. So,
I agree.
okay.
Thank you
Thanks,
very much.
Patrick.
Okay.
Thank you
guys take
so
care.
much.
Okay.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye now.
On it?
Yes.
What a great call.
Yes. Yes. I knew it was going to be when I talked to him earlier today.
I can't tell you. My shoulders are lighter.
Well, he is making it clearer, but I can see where I'm going to have trouble understanding exactly. Get my glasses on the 1099s. I'm looking
Yeah,
at the C.
doing
The
these
debt
forms.
description. Yeah, it's the actually the accounting part of it. What number goes where?
Yeah.
Okay, so and I think probably what we really need to do is get out the damn instructions and go over it 4 times
hmm
and see if that helps, and then come back and ask questions again because we're going to talk to them again tomorrow. So I think
And I
that is
have.
probably the easiest thing to concentrate on is just the
Mhm.
1099Cs and exactly what these amounts are.
And you know what? We're going to make mistakes, but that's going to be our learning road.
Yes.
No, there's not going to be any mistakes. You prepare well. No.
Well, I have, I don't have any forms, but I've got an IRS office. I live in Buffalo, and I've got an office right in town. So I'm just going to truck over and pick
No,
up.
you won't. You won't get these forms there. You have to get them from Bloomington, Indiana. You have to
Oh,
call
they
in.
won't give them to. They won't give them
No,
to me.
they don't have them. They don't have them.
Oh,
But remember, the point here is that he's given you copy Bs to fill out because it's the copy Bs that you're sending in.
the V's. Yeah,
Bs for boy.
B, boy. Okay.
Okay. Now, really, the 1099As, when you read the instructions, you basically have to send them in once a year.
Okay.
So what you do is you send the copy Bs in during the year, and then you make up your copy A's and only send them in at the end of the year.
Okay. So it's the C's that are the ones that we need right away.
C's and the A's. It's the
And the
C's.
A's.
C's get rid of the debt. A's
Mhm.
recover any money that you've already paid in.
Well, I need that before they foreclose on me. That's
Right.
coming.
Do this. Well, I have exactly that problem. I need the C.
And then
Yeah,
the tax.
I tried going to the IRS office, and they said they only order them after January because that's when they need them, and they have just a limited fund or amount of them at that time, and they don't reorder them. I
Okay.
really tried going all over. I tried the banks. I tried Office
Well,
Max
the
and stuff.
banks are probably doing this all day long.
Well,
they're not going to give you any of the forms.
Oh, they used to have them at the post office, but they don't anymore.
Not these kind of forms. I don't think they ever had these kind of.
No, that's the problem is that people have never requested them, and they don't. They just
Well,
have them for people at the end of the year.
They're meant mostly for companies, from financial institutions and large companies doing interstate commerce. You know, hospitals use these.
Oh, we
Universities. Yeah.
Yeah, did you order them online or did you call Bloomingdale or Bloomington, whatever?
1-800 tax forms.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I ordered them by phone, but it'll take 10 days for that, so I'm,
Right.
waiting.
But you can go ahead and start preparing your copy Bs and using you can start sending in stuff right away. It's just that you won't be able to send the summary into the IRS until you have the red forms.
So you make out another one is what you're saying.
Yeah, you heard him say, fill this stuff out by hand. It's no fun whatsoever.
Right.
We should create a document to help us clarify all this. So,
Like
Well,
a template.
well,
I think-
template, more of an explanation. I'm saying this related to what Soma said. I'm going to have some trouble understanding what to send first and that. If we have
Well,
like more than a template, an explanation.
And what form to send where.
What you want is an instruction sheet. But
Right.
I more or less agree with Patrick. He's given us the information. We need to go through what he said enough time so that we can make up our own.
I was going to say something. So when we listen to the audio, we can start a Word document and then you write the notes and then you can go from there.
Right.
For what you are understanding. Because even if I write it and I give it to you, you may not understand my note.
And I may get something you miss. I think what we need to do is write up our own notes and then compare them and merge them.
Oh, sure. We can have a call and go iron by iron. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And we should just start dealing with form by form.
Yeah.
See, in the past, I don't know if you people were, I'm talking 2 years, 3 years ago. Patrick will give like an explanation, this for this, that for that. That's what I have in mind.
Right.
It's like he named those documents something. I don't remember, but it's mainly to to clarify in our heads what needs to be done. The order.
He recently, I think it's in the postal mail system directory, he came up with a flow chart of documents and actions required. And that really was more or less what we needed, with a little bit more instructions too.
Right. It needs to be organized in order of how it needs to happen.
Yeah, but I understand why Patrick's reluctant to get down to that detail. Because if we just want it as a cookbook, or we just sit down and do it without understanding it, we're not really going to be able to be successful with it, because we're not going to understand exactly what to do, because we didn't think it through ourselves. We just followed directions.
And when they come and ask us questions, we're not going to know what to say.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to explain it. And I think what he says is right. Yeah, they'll come after you, and if you don't know what you're doing, they'll really get you. But if you do know what you're doing, they'll be friendly and leave.
Well, that's why I said, Gita, you are the one that said, well, we are going to make mistakes, right? Was that you?
Who? Not me.
I don't know. Somebody just said we are going to make mistakes. Who was that?
She may not be here now.
Okay.
Well,
because the idea is not to make mistakes, because then it's how you get in trouble by filling up papers and you don't know what you are doing.
Right. I took piano from a very professional Russian lady. I mean, she and her husband, Rachmaninoff, used to come and visit them in Paris during the summer to improve his technique. They knew Scriabin, they knew Tchaikovsky, and one thing she said and it stuck with me the most, is that when you're learning a new piece, you have to think it through carefully and don't try to go any faster than you can handle it. Because she says if you just start trying to rush through it, you're actually practicing mistakes rather than correcting mistakes. So we want to make sure that we don't practice our
You're
mistakes.
creating mistakes. Yeah.
Yes.
And greed or troubles that we may be having can push you to do those mistakes. You don't want to do that.
But then
That's no good.
by repeating the mistakes, you make them a habit.
Yeah. I see how you learn something wrong and then you have to unlearn it.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean that little phrase of hers really stuck with me.
Very good.
Well, I think you got a good idea, Tom. If we take, like, say, since I don't know how many people out there need to cancel debt, but if we would concentrate on, say, Form 1099-C.
Yes, I think that's the most likely choice.
Mm-hmm.
Start with that one, and but some of them we'd probably need a 1099-A to go along with them, though.
Well, that's when we're going in and inquiring. That
Property.
when we send in the receipts, we're doing a 1099-A.
But now, if you're just canceling it and then
If you're getting rid of a mortgage, you do the 1099-C. Getting rid of your taxes, you do the 1099-C.
V.
Get out. No, C. You always accompany things with a V.
Yeah.
You always accompany it with a voucher because the voucher becomes a warrant after 3 days, and it's your enforcement tool.
Right. So if you're canceling like a mortgage and a big credit card and some taxes, you would do a C and a V.
You would do a 1099-C for what you owe on the credit card.
Right.
You would do a 1099-A on what you have previously paid into the credit card.
Oh, okay. And then you would follow it up with a V.
You follow up both with a V.
Welcome to Verizon Wireless.
Okay.
The wireless customer you called is not available at this time. Please try your
Just
call
call
again
anybody.
later. Announcement 1, switch 222 dash 1.
Thomas?
Yeah.
Is there a
Welcome
way
to
that
Verizon
that
Wireless. The wireless
folder
customer you called is not available at this time.
that?
Please try your call again later.
Are
Announcement
we
doing
1,
being terminated?
222
No, I
1.
think someone is not listening, and it's just having the running the phone.
Yeah, whoever is not speaking, they should mute.
Right. I need to announce that more at the beginning of the call.
Thomas, how difficult it is to organize that web page that you have with all the files? They don't have a date. It's kind of like
No, what I do is I do download them to my computer in date order. And so when I upload them, they're in an approximate date order, but they're not in exactly the order that he sent them down.
I'm thinking more in like sections, like folders, similar to what Patrick has in Yahoo.
Yeah, I have them in the folders, but the dates is not as exact as his dates.
I'm talking about the website where you see all the listing of all. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, I see it now.
All I do is take his files, download them to this equivalent directory structure on my computer, and then upload them to that website in the same directory structure.
Okay, all right, I see it now.
Yeah.
Did Patrick discuss the $10,000 a day thingy again?
Yes.
Okay, so that's on the audio tonight then.
No, that's not on the audio tonight, but that's what he released today in the documents.
Okay.
And with an audio that went along with it.
I
Okay.
advise anyone who is ready to send some papers in to wait until next call and go over whatever you are doing so you don't get
Right.
yourself in trouble.
Well, I'm going to spend all day trying to prepare it, except my damn printer went down.
No, I'm talking to this young man that I
Right,
haven't
okay.
heard before. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just gonna do my I think birth certificate and just the mundane stuff.
Well,
There-
birth certificate isn't mundane.
No,
That's the big enchilada at the end.
but it's the stuff
Right.
to the Treasury, the Secretary of the State. I mean, there are no receipts or
You mean the
anything.
driver's licenses and car titles and stuff like
Yeah.
that? Property
Yeah.
titles, you can also do your property.
Oh, okay. But I think they
So
were the initial.
I'm going to start with first on my house. I'm going to go at
Do some
1099.
cancellation of debt.
Yeah, I can't cancel that debt, and then I'll do a 1099A to get the principal that I paid in.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to cancel my property tax and get 15 years worth of property tax back.
Oh yeah.
Then a variety of things. I may do. I have 17 $300 envelopes. I'll just fire those in. I think
Well,
I'll
as soon as I get
then,
my forms.
and then I'll
Hey,
try.
Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah, when do you, just to clarify, when do you use USPS claims up? I mean, centers
We took it in
for
the notes.
taxes?
Just a second.
Where would you send like a judgment you have on somebody?
Okay. Your 1099As and Cs go into the claims department of the USPS. Copy B.
Anytime?
Copy B.
Okay.
Well, that's you
Now
may
you're
be
talking
right.
on the postal stuff, right, Tom?
I think on the postal stuff because I think
Right.
the 1099As and Cs go for a corporate debt or court debt goes to the company or the court.
Yeah, so you use claims office for the 300 penalty envelopes, right?
Yes, and any postage. Remember that any mail sent to you is all those postage stamps are yours now.
And you have to say
And
that
luckily, I've had a lot of certified letters from lawyers recently, so I have maybe close to 36 $6 envelopes too.
So it doesn't matter if it's your name is on the mail or no.
No, it's the mail coming to you. Yeah.
And
Yeah, but
can't you go in
Well,
and check that
that's an interesting question. Can you go back have your neighbor give you their old envelope? I don't know.
well, it would be just like the Walmart receipts.
Yeah, except the Walmart receipts don't have anybody's name on it.
Oh, you're saying if the envelope has somebody's name on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that would be a good question. But don't some of this stuff comes in that it's prepaid or postage paid or something through
Yeah, you can't do those. You can't do those.
you can't do those.
It has to have the amount on there, or else you can't do it.
It has to have the amount on there in
Right.
order to do it.
Just pitch it.
Okay, so those
No,
are
I
good
think
to it.
I mean the envelopes are small change compared to being able to do $10,000 a day.
Right.
I don't get $10,000 worth of mail a day.
Yeah. But it's still something to go back and
Right.
to retrieve, but it has to have the amount on the envelope in order to use the envelope is what you're
Right.
saying.
Right.
But we don't know if we could use somebody else's envelope if it had their name on it.
I don't think so.
But do you need
We could ask.
the EIN to do the $10,000 a day?
No, I don't think he. Yes, I think he did use the EIN, the estate EIN.
And you need the 98 number, which I've got.
No, you only need the 98 number at the very end.
Oh, okay.
When you're getting everything out, then you want to put it in the 98 foreign grantor trust.
Okay.
So we don't need the 98 number right now, is what you're saying.
We don't need it to get started.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're doing is individual transactions with known numbers. You can work that off the estate EIN.
Now, do you know?
Except it would be taxable then.
Unless you send in their W-8 at the same time.
Okay.
So W-8 is where you're claiming your exemption from tax.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Is there a filled out form of a W-8 on the site?
Yeah.
Sort of.
Is it correct?
I think it is. The important part is that the 3 boxes down at the bottom where you're saying you're exempt, those all 3 have to be checked.
Right. And do you put your social security number on it? I know you put your birth.
Yeah, I'd have to take a look at it. I have to take a look at it again.
Okay. Because I thought it was canceling out your social security number.
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
We're not doing that until we do the 1099-B against the whole Social Security account.
Okay. All right. Then you put your social security number.
Until we do that, we actually use our Social Security number as the account number on our 1099s. We use our EIN number as the routing number, and our Social Security or birth certificate number is the account number.
Okay. And I've been changing everything at the bottom where it said executor, and I'm putting the PEO.
PEO, right. And that's probably the way to fill out the state EINs from now on, too.
Yeah. And I'm putting it on that stamp that I'm sending for.
Okay.
Tom, do you know what he meant by posted, signed, and sealed on the PEO letter?
Yeah.
I haven't got looked up in Anderson, but do you know what it is?
No, you sign it correctly, you put your fingerprints on it, and then you emboss it.
Okay, and if we don't have an embosser yet?
He said use a hammer. He said you can use your fingerprint.
Yeah.
That would work, or make any kind
Make
of
your own. Make whatever you want. Make a circle or whatever.
Yeah, use a bottle cap. Use a bottle cap and make an impression with a bottle cap.
And that would be the sealed part of it then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything that leaves a embossed imprint.
That's actually, the purpose of embossing is to crinkle
Use
the
a
paper.
penny. Use a penny.
Get a pen that doesn't work. A pen that doesn't have any ink.
Oh, and
You
scratch
can
all
write
over.
with
Okay.
it.
Right, okay. But an embosser is only going to cost you about $20.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Just to get to go, and anything that'll make an embossed seal would work.
Those people are very nice, by the way. They are very nice. Yeah.
But that, I wanted to get I guess I wanted to get that letter out.
Thomas?
Yeah. Someone, there's an echo going on now.
Yeah, there might be.
Someone's listening to it on speaker.
Yeah, this is Greg.
Yeah, Greg.
Yeah, the mouse came out from the corner.
Okay.
On to seal something like that, get a tall red taper candle and put a couple of drops of wax on your page, then put your thumbprint into it as it before it hardens completely.
That's the old way of doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. I got a couple of comments in the board there.
Okay.
So posted means that you're mailing it, correct?
That's what I believe, yes.
Does anybody else have a different interpretation of posted?
Look it up in Anderson.
Well, that's why I said I haven't had a chance to do that. I just got it downloaded.
Right, okay.
And then signed, we're signing it. And the sealed was, like you said, a candle, or if you would put a thumbprint on it.
Yes. Or get an embosser. The embosser is so easy. The only thing with the embosser is that it doesn't duplicate when you make copies. Now, I understand there's two things you can do for that. There is embossing powder, which is you then have a fine brush with this powder on it, and you kind of wipe it across that embossed area, and then that turns it into you can see the black print then, or light gray, or whatever color the powder is. The way I was going to do it, I was just going to emboss another piece of paper, and then cut a circle out. Cut the embossed out, and now I have a template. I put that piece of paper over an embossed thing, and take an ink pad and just rub it lightly on an ink pad.
That's a good idea. You can do it with your
Paper.
finger too. Or you
Right.
could make a stamp. You could probably do a
Oh,
stamp.
well, it would be nice if you could find a nice light roller, or so you could roll the ink on it, because you're supposed to keep the original. So the
Right.
embossing isn't going to show up unless you do something to bring it out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we send it in to have it sealed, and we stamp the copy that it's a copy, is that going to change the value of it?
What did he have at the field? Because I think he brought that up 3 weeks ago, but I don't think he has that currently in his current set of documents.
That was something to the Secretary of State.
Well, no, you have to get it. You have to send your documents to the Secretary of State to get them apostilled.
Right. I think it
Then
was
the original one?
Yeah,
the live birth.
yeah. I'm pretty sure you have to send an original in. So you're trusting them.
You know something I do when I use embosser?
What?
I also put it in the right side in the bottom of the back of the page, and you sign it in the middle. You emboss
Okay.
it, and then you sign in the middle, because
I
that
guess-
corner is very important.
Okay.
The back of the document.
Yes, I suppose even though you emboss the other side that doesn't show up in a copy, you can always emboss a copy
Yes,
separately.
sure.
Yeah.
But for the regular documents, what I did is I cut, I open. Okay, this is what I did. I cut like a little square from a document that I had embossed, and then I saved it as a picture. And then when you want to print a document, you can just paste your seal. And then before you send it, you sign it in the middle with wet ink.
Okay. Well, I think if you could make the embossed visible, then copying it would be sufficient.
But I'm talking like when you have to email something, when you email a document.
Oh, okay. Well, even there,
very handy.
if you can make the embossed visible, then it'll show up in the email too.
Yeah, usually what I do is I send a PDF. I create a PDF. First, I make a document, right? When you
Yeah.
write a letter, and then you insert the picture of your emboss, and then you save it as a PDF, and you email the PDF whatever you want to.
Okay. Well, I'm suggesting that when you prepare the document and you emboss it, you make sure that the embossing is visible, and then you scan it and send that as a PDF with your signature.
Yeah, you can scan it, but yeah.
I think my
But if
way
you
is
didn't
just
have a
do-
scanner and you wanted to create a document
right.
and you
Then
have
you do-
somehow saved a little square with your emboss, right?
right,
You can paste it in a document.
right. That's true.
Mhm.
Okay,
It's very easy.
good. Okay, well, this was a long call today.
Yeah.
3 hours.
It was very productive.
Yes, I think so.
Well, you know what? I think I can even get started on the 1099s and do the mock-ups that we have on the site, and then I can have them all ready to go when the originals get here.
Now, what you want for your mortgage is to get a payoff order from the mortgage company
A payoff order.
so that you can endorse it on the back and turn it into a bill of exchange.
Yes, that's like I did that once before.
Well, they when they send you a payoff order, it's only good for certain days.
Right. So this will be a current one.
You have to get a current one.
Okay. And then I'll be ready to roll.
Right.
All right, people.
But the
Okay.
payoff
Good night.
is different than what you paid in, though.
Oh, yes, of course. That's, that payoff tells you what the current debt is.
Mm-hmm.
Doing the acquisition is everything you paid in. And, I asked him, he said you should only do the principal. And I asked him, could you try to collect the interest? And I guess he has moral qualms about that, or to some qualms. I think the interest was a fraudulent charge too. But
My
No,
mortgage.
no. Remember what he said?
what?
That was the price for stupidity.
Well, yeah, they could claim
We
that. but
defrauded ourselves. We did all these, you know,
well, so,
we did it.
well, since we can go get $10,000 a day, I'm willing to pay that price of stupidity then.
My mortgage is so fraudulent. It's pathetic. They didn't
Oh,
make
yeah.
they didn't make the assignment. They don't have the mortgage. They don't have the note. We're in a judicial state.
Oh, wow.
They securitized it it's in a million pieces in mortgage-backed securities.
Well, the moment they securitized it, they separated the note from the mortgage and validated everything.
And it's a MERS in New York State. They just ruled against MERS. It's pathetic. I could probably get millions for that.
Well, you still could.
You
might.
You know, after I get them off my back.
Yeah, get them off the back with this and then come after them with V again.
Yeah.
The real vendetta. So I also like what Patrick says. Well, let's not waste our time with vendetta. Once we have our assets, let's do good with it.
Yeah, we won't need it. We won't need the big B.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
See everybody tomorrow night.
Yes,
For our own incompetency. So, in equity, we are pointing a finger, but really we were the ones who were signing all these papers and contracts without knowing what we were doing. So who are you really truly going to blame? If you are in the blaming mode, you are going to have to blame yourself for being so ignorant of just not knowing what you were getting yourself into it. I have a problem with that word that is used in these calls so often. We defrauded ourselves because we got into things like children. We did not know what we were doing. So we need to clean up our language and stop accusing all these people and created all this system because we are the idiots and went and did it to ourselves.
It is fraud because if you study the way this all came about, it was, the idea of a contract.
You need to take it to the point of your contract, your signature, what you agreed to it. You agreed to something. You can now, after the fact, come and say, well, you know what? I don't like what you did. You already
No.
signed it.
No, you can't say that, because if there was not full disclosure, then the contract
Did you ask them to give you disclosure? Did you ask any questions? You didn't.
Well, I didn't
You
know to ask, but they didn't disclose either.
But when you
I
have
have
an
studied
when you have an
contracts a
attorney,
lot.
when you have an attorney doing this paperwork with you, you know,
You're relying on him, except
Well,
you don't know.
but no,
You don't know.
but
You
that's
don't
the
know.
problem. Then people get blinded by the titles. Oh, he's an attorney. He must know what he's doing. You know what? Most of them, they really don't know.
they
Don't
don't. But
know.
you know,
When
you're
it-
And we
paying.
are the incompetent ones and go and hire an attorney. So it can be seen both ways, and make it, do yourself a favor. Start pointing the finger to yourself,
Oh well,
because that
now
way
for
you can
sure.
be
But now we know.
concentrated. Right, we can be concentrated in knowing
Well,
you do not
I'm learning.
find
I'm learning,
anything
and
if
I'm
you
finding
don't
out
ask
what
the right questions.
I'm learning what I did wrong and what was done wrong to me, and I'm going to correct my mistakes, and I'm going to make sure I get compensated for being snookered.
Yep. And I'm helping my son who is purchasing a home, and now I'm going to tell him what form to buy the home with.
There you go.
Or
There you go.
just buy its form and then transfer it over to him.
There you go.
And then
There you go. He
and
needed
then-
$10,000.
and then when he says, "How did you do that?" I said, "Well, if you'll do the homework, I'll tell you." Or you don't want it to where you force feed any of this to anybody. You get them in the position where they want to know.
Exactly. He needs to.
Yeah, because
do.
they are the ones who are going to put the signature in a paper. They need to know.
Right.
The mother cannot do it. My son, I wouldn't do nothing for him, because that shows incompetency, you know?
Oh, I don't know. My son is like 42, and I don't do it for him, but I show him the way, and he has to learn along the way.
Sure. Yeah.
He's a good
But
kid.
not like filling out the papers for them.
I would say some of our incompetence comes from we weren't taught the ABCs.
Right.
So
Well, we
if
got into
we can
commerce
learn them
without
now, I don't feel that it would be wrong to help our children learn the ABCs.
Right.
Of course not.
I mean, I think my two granddaughters are more ready to go at this than my daughter is right now.
Yeah.
She's had my two granddaughters are in college, and they understand thoroughly the system that they're in, where they get clobbered with debt right at the beginning, and it's going to be almost impossible to work out of it. And in fact, I just sent her a Noam Chomsky picture where he wrote up on the a green board, not a blackboard. But pretty much how the system works. Now, my daughter is a French horn player, teaches German, physical therapist, does a whole bunch of things, and she's so busy trying to keep things going and really doing a fine job with my granddaughters that she's afraid to tangle with the system at this point, even though she's tried a little bit. So I'm at the point where I would first do it for her, and then once she sees that I've solved the problems, if she wants to solve the rest of her problems, she's going to have to learn it. So I'm going to do the first part. Is to, they need to move. They need to find a new place. I'd like to find a place and get it transferred immediately over to her title. That way, I don't have to have any probate or inheritance problems. It's out of the way, and this whole thing is done. And I've hit her with a fait accompli. It works.
Yeah, once
A
they
lot
see
of
that
work to do. Good night, everyone.
they're going to
Yeah,
inquire about it.
Yes, yes.
I would definitely pay off my granddaughter just started college this year, and she refuses to take a loan out for her college. She worked all summer so she could pay cash for her tuition.
Okay.
She is so frugal. She's a straight A student, and she is not going to borrow money.
Well, mine were top students. They got full scholarships, but still the expenses, and they still had
They
to
are.
take student loans. And
Mhm.
my one daughter graduated from Case Institute, and she's got a big loan to pay off, and I'll probably go do that for her, and then show her, now if you want to straighten out of this stuff, let's go do that. I'll show you how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think either of them would have trouble with this, because
No.
they see more how screwed up the system is than the older people do.
I think the same with my two sons. They're just not in that mindset, but the ones coming up along the way seem more
Right.
open.
Right. I mean,
Well, we got to get up. We got to get out of that old trench of working ourselves to death to try to straighten stuff out.
right. Well, keep ourselves so busy we don't know what's going on.
Right.
Because that's really what they've done. Is if they've tricked people doing that. Now I started rebelling against this like about 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I have rebellion as my middle name.
Well, it came across to me when some people I knew told me you don't have to pay income tax, and it really progressed from there. That was about like 1982. I found that out.
Oh, now my husband, it's like, no, I'm gonna pay, and it's like he fell off the roof. He's a teacher. I don't know what he was doing up there, but he fell off the roof last summer, spent 10 months in a wheelchair.
Ooh.
So we had to live off his 401k, and the IRS took the rest of the money, like $60,000 in income tax. So it's like we have no more money left.
Well,
It's like,
1099-A on the income tax.
yeah, and now he's working in pain, needs more surgery, and
Right.
I just can't see it. I mean, don't you understand who they are?
Okay, one way I've heard of doing it, though Patrick would come up with a different one, to just simply go down to the hospital with his birth certificate
Mm-hmm.
and endorse it that so that they can whatever it takes to fix them, they're going to be paid. I heard a story somewhat like that where a guy who was really needed some surgery, didn't have much at all, took his birth certificate in. The hospital not only gave him the absolute best treatment there was, but they put him up in the three top floor of a penthouse.
Yeah. We have the best medical insurance. It's just that we went without income for a year.
Okay. Well, but with this, once this works, you've got the income problem solved.
Yeah. So this is perfect timing.
Okay.
But
All
you
right.
should be able to go back and claim that money back from the IRS.
Yes.
And yeah, that's why this call was so perfect. It comes at the right time. So.
All right, we'll see everybody tomorrow night then.
Yeah.
All
very
right.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye now.
Thanks.